I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, I love it, I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. Man, I hope my team they won one. I hope my team they won one. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil with Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Both Mike Washington and Charles Bishop on assignment. In fact, Charles Bishop is here because, as you can see, give him a quick look in as we are in H&P Arena in Houston, Texas, here for the women's basketball game against Mississippi Valley State out of the SWAC. Charles is actually doing the broadcast, so he can't do both the show and the broadcast, but wanted to give you a little tease in terms of that. You see TSU up early 1-0 as they're at the free throw line. We'll give you look-ins here and there as you can see the nice spacious H&P Arena, as we like to call it around these parts. Let's get back into it. We can come back to a look-in after things get going. But welcome to episode 766 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sport HBCU dash for all things HBCU sports, institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA. We share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. In short, we just call it HBCU Sports Pedagogy Day. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host today, as I just said, Dave here, Rhodes. He is multi-talented. You have seen him on HBCU Nightly, but years before that, he has been in the e-gaming framework. So those e-gamers out there are probably familiar with his work. He can even dabble a little bit in terms of giving you analysis on hip-hop. That's past and present, breaking down the framework of that. The man is of many talents, and let us not forget, he even is celebrating, or at least giving you updates in terms of the Carolina Panthers, where he partners with guys that look at the NFL, particularly Carolina Panthers for that Carolina region, to give you updates there. And they made the playoffs. He acknowledged before the show, yes, they had a losing record overall, but who gives a damn when you win the division and you get the playoff bid
and a home game?
As you said, and educated everybody knowing you know your history. Last time they made it in with a losing record, and they won the first round game. So with that being said, here we're gonna focus a little bit on HBCU sports, but I wanted to let you know that this man is many talented, and as you can see by his shirt, he happens to be an A&T alumni, and he certainly can give you updates on that. In fact, on Wednesdays right here, you can catch him as he does the Indy Report with his team and colleagues that represent Hampton, Tennessee State, and A&T, the three independents at the major division level, as we like to call it. You all know it as the NCAA Division I, FCS, and football. But with that being said, let me say I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, along with my co-host today, David Rhodes. We are filming from our home studios, or at least David is, and I'm filming, as I said, from H&P Arena, where Valley is actually up early, 9-14 with 7:16 to go in this first quarter. But we are sending a signal live to 12:30 a.m. studios with the Texas Radio Hall of Famer, multi-Hall of Fame, as I like to tell everybody. That is Ralph Cooper in the beautiful home of Texas Southern University from Houston, Texas. With that being said, David L. Rhodes, how are you doing today officially?
I'm doing great. You know, it's been a very, I'm a little under the weather, but it's been a very busy week. It's been a very busy week. We just started up MD this week because the Panthers in the playoffs. We've been doing more shows. We had to do double live streams over the weekend because we couldn't get it done. And so we told the fan base, if we can't get it done, we'll live stream a non-Panthers game the following day, and that's what we had to do. So because we had a scenario where if the Falcons won, the Panthers are in. If the Bucks win, if the Saints win, the Bucks are in. So we were like watching Falcons Saints in excruciating pain.
Right. I heard about it, and it went down to the end. Fascinating when you see it like that. Cool thing to be a part of it. Today's episode of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab is sponsored by THG Agency, LLC. THG Agency is a company that provides sporting, educational consulting, and data analytics. With that being said, let's get right into it, Dave. What's hot on your mind in terms of the HBCU sports world?
The big thing for me was Eric Hunter's All-American seasons continues at the inaugural FCS Showcase in Nashville. Morgan State standout linebacker Eric Hunter participated in the inaugural FCS Showcase hosted by the NCAA, AFCA, and NFL in Nashville during National Championship weekend. Hunter was just one of 31 players invited to attend the event and joined South Carolina State's Gerard Washington as the only two MEAC representatives selected. Hunter and the other participants were interviewed by NFL team representatives on Sunday, January 4th, and took part in on-field drills on Monday morning, January 5th. Players were also invited to attend tonight's FCS championship game between Montana State and Illinois State, which was a really good game. Phenomenal game Monday night. That was on the ESPN kickoff at 7:30 p.m.
Gave me a little flashbacks in various ways.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Nah.
A little bit. You ain't lying, man. Same city, everything, man. Look, you ain't got to bring up old stuff, man.
Hey, I didn't want to, but the truth is the truth. It gave me flashbacks. And those flashbacks, I should really say it gave me nightmares because I was like, oh, no.
Well, look, we missed. Look, we had a block field goal in A&T too, but I know it probably gave you flashbacks from Atlanta, man. It's been rough.
I was like, man. And then I watching NFL games, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. That's all the wrong. So every time I look up, somebody wants to remind me. We were watching the Houston LSU game. They had to dive into pylon. And we texting in our group. We like, we can't get away from this.
But with all these missed kicks.
One of the friends, Dave, said he just turned off his television. He said he couldn't take it.
Than that, man, for me, it's always like, we always talk about offensive defense, but we always forget special teams. And the past week, man.
Yeah. I mean, we all say it and we know it, but we don't necessarily focus on it until it becomes painfully obvious that either it was huge because it won you a game, and actually when it win you the game, you just kind of like, all right, great, and you still focus on everything else.
Mm-hmm.
If it loses your game, for sure, you're like, what the hell just happened?
It's gut wrenching to say the least. Yeah. But to get into this, A&T had two players as well. The SWAC had two representatives as well. We had somebody on the ground, and I've been told that they did show up and show out this weekend. They all showed up and showed out.
You got to do your part. You can't control anything outside of that, but you can control what you're able to deliver. And shout out to the HBCU guys to get down there and are able to represent, provide feedback, and help players support in their endeavors in various ways. Awards and things like that. And speaking of the awards, we'll be announcing the Big Ben Cavil Senior HBCU Football Award. And that award is connected to a player that plays at HBCU, but they have to be from the state of Texas, meaning either born in the state of Texas or they had to play high school state of Texas and play at an HBCU, or they actually can be outside of Texas but play for an HBCU in the state of Texas. So it'll be fascinating. I had some superlative. You know, people always talk about Texas football. Obviously, there's some other places that have great football. But it's amazing when you do a award like this and you really pigeonhole it in some ways because of the nature of the award. It's basically from Texas. And you're like, are we going to have enough folks to do it where you really have some strength behind the award? And absolutely, over the years, it's fascinating when you start looking at the rosters of teams with players from Texas that you don't quite pay attention to until they reach their zenith and they're doing these great things. And you're like, this is pretty awesome. So the list that we'll have coming out to kind of showcase those that were had in the race to have the opportunity, and then we'll get to a finalist, and then we'll get the award winner. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like. I believe when we cut it down to the finalists, you're going to be like, oh, man, any of these individuals could potentially win. So excited about that. Before I go back to you, let's do a quick look in since we have a timeout there, at least for the score there. It is 10-8. That is Mississippi Valley. The Delta Devils are up over the home team, Texas Southern University, with 4:27 left at 4 minutes, just under 5 timeout, if you would. Commercial break. It'll be fascinating to see as this game continues. See if I can give you a little insight in terms of what takes place here. Texas Southern is playing already with some injuries, so that is a little challenge, and it'll be challenged literally for the rest of the year. It looks like at least one of the athletes are out. They might get one back, but those injuries are part of the game, but they certainly can change the trajectory of a team. While we're doing that, Rhodes, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this. Not to belabor the fact, because I'm sure you mentioned it yesterday, North Carolina A&T. In fact, I heard when you mentioned about the reprimand from the conference. The SWAC fines folks. Does the CAA, when they provide reprimand, are you aware whether they give a fine and what type of fine those things are?
I think this was more of like a preliminary type of reprimand. If I based on what I've seen, good. He's not getting fined. I think it's just more of a public, hey, don't do this type of situation.
Okay.
So I haven't heard of any fines coming out of Aggie Land. That would have been fascinating if it would have been the case.
Before we take it too deep dive, where are you with your basketball team? You know, the women obviously showed out last year, changing the guard in a lot of ways, and just college is, hard to stay the top momentum. Obviously, when you have a good coach and good program, you stay in the mix. Then on the men's side, doing some building there, where are you with A&T in terms of that perspective?
So I'll start with the ladies first. I think the big thing with the ladies right now is that they lost their 2 guards, right? They lost their 2 starting guards. They lost Procone, they lost Dorsey. They're actually playing pro internationally, so shout out to them. Mm-hmm. However, and they have not replaced that yet, and it's been shown to the point where we've had a forward bringing the ball down the court because the guards are turnover machines right now. But I think they'll learn over time. I think we'll probably be a threat in the tournament because all 14 teams make the tournament. Right. So it's chaos there, but it's been tough. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to get to Boston tomorrow with my schedule because they're playing Northeastern up here.
All right, we have the score 12-8. Let's take them off the screen for a minute there as we get your dialogue. Continue to go there.
Yeah, so overall, so like with the ladies, I think there's going to be some growing pains. I know they picked us to place 3rd. The way they've been looking so far, I don't know if they're going to make that 3rd place finish. I would like them to try to stay in the top 4 to get the bye.
Right.
But time will tell with regards to that. But right now, long season. It's a long season.
Those ups and downs. Get a little healthy. Figure out your team a little more.
Yeah.
Find out who's out there and how you strategize. And it's so weird when you have these large conferences, Dave, and you have these unequal schedules. Yeah. I don't think people really focus enough on that in football for the SWAC, but really across the board when you have these large conferences. Also, part of this is scheduling. Who do you play and where do you play them at? What part of the year you play them? And sometimes the schedule works more in your favor and sometimes less in your favor in terms of who you schedule, particularly when other teams may play different amount of the teams and they're able to scale the record based on that. So I'm always fascinated on it. I want to give a little love before we get ready to take this first break to up-and-coming coaches. Fairley. That's Leonard Fairley, named Silver Waves Media Mid-Major Coach Watch List from MEAC Sports. This came out. Norfolk State's men's basketball assistant coach. Leonard Fairley has been named to the 2025 Silver Waves Media Rising Stars Mid-Major Assistant Coach and GM list recognizing top emerging talents in collegiate basketball. Fairley has been a member of the Spartan men's basketball program for 8 seasons, including his time as a student manager during his undergraduate years before transitioning into a coaching role. During his tenure of coaching staff, Norfolk State has compiled a 155-88 overall record, 77-23 mark in the MEAC play, capturing 5 regular season championships and 3 MEAC tournament titles. And any head coach will tell you when they have that level of success, one of the first things they will tell you is they have great players, great talent. And usually the next thing out of their mouth is they talk about their assistant coaches. This is an example of that. I wanted to give some love to Leonard Fairley to see he's hot on the list. So keep your eyes on it at the end of the season. He might be and should be on a lot of people's top list if things don't go well for a couple of teams around the basketball. Let's take our first break, come back on the other side. It's time to do the mid-major top 5 programs. We'll talk about those 5 outside receiving votes, give you some indication of what that looks like. We're going to get Dave's thoughts on those mid-majors. Third segment, we'll get into the major division. And in the last segment, we'll talk a little bit about what to expect this weekend, particularly with the men's. We might dive in a little bit of the women's. And we'll go all around the horn, if you would, at the major division level. And maybe keep your eyes on a mid-major game or two that sneaks out there that we say you need to keep your eyes on. With that, let's take a first break, come back on the other side, and do just that.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
To these colleges, and we have to fund our kids in these colleges, and we have to make sure our kids have seats in these colleges.
Now, what about HBCUs? You mentioned
absolutely. You got to fund them all, and you got to make sure they're properly funded. You know, the real reason why I went after Comcast and Charter, it didn't have anything to do with my cable networks. It didn't. What happened was a gentleman wanted to do the Black College Sports Network in partnership with the HBCUs. And Comcast did not accept it. And that would have made a lot of money for these black colleges.
Absolutely.
And it would have educated the Black College Sports Network. This is what he wanted to do. That would have educated a lot of black kids. And when they didn't do that, that's when I came off the bench and said, okay, I'm going to light you up like a Christmas tree. Okay. That was the real reason why I got into it, was when I saw what happened with the Black College Sports Network, which I don't own. I just knew.
Why didn't you buy it?
I just knew. I just knew that these black.
I like that talk.
All right. I knew that these black colleges were going to benefit, and these black kids were going to get the education that they deserved and not have to pay.
There's a shot. It might be. It could be. Right field. Grand slam. What a shot. That's how you get hot, young fella.
Thank you guys for what you do for HBCU athletics. This is a fantastic avenue for all of us. This is our ESPN, so we love what you guys do, all you guys at BCSN. We really appreciate what it is that you guys do for us.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab. You're having a live look-in at the Texas Southern women's basketball game. During this game, you had Valley that was up 12-8, and then Texas Southern Tigers, the ladies went on a 12-0 run, take a 20-12 lead, and right before the end of the first quarter, Valley hits a 3. So at the end of one, the Texas Southern Tigers are leading the Delta Devils 20-15. It's during the timeout, so we'll come back and give you a look in when they get going and get back into some action. But with that being said, it's time to deliver, Dave. It's time to deliver the mid-major division week 1. This is our NIA and NCAA Division II programs, as we like to label it, as the mid-major programs. Let's see if we can get in there this week 1 and kind of lather you up. As you may or may not know, when you talk about the mid-major programs, they start conference play earlier in both the CIAA and SIEC, but particularly SIEC that has had several conference games. They play like 20 games, which creates the ability to have obviously more games, less non-conference games. And then you have at the NIA level, they've been full throttle in terms of their conference play. But let's see what that looks like. No team dropped out. Based on all this preseason play, as I talk about, and we like to end football season so we can really get people focused on basketball. So this is when we start up our rankings. We know some other folks are doing some great work on basketball, particularly Liv, what she's doing. Want to give her a shout out in terms of her rankings. As we get a little deeper in there, we get more knowledge on that. We'll see what aligns up, how she has teams ranked and where we are. Too early to really put too much stock in that, as I try to tell people, it's week to week, which is my famous line, and people really love it. But with that being said, no team dropped out as we just are starting things. We did have some teams moving around a little bit, though. But before we get into that, we'll talk about those receiving votes. And you see here receiving votes is Florida Memorial Lions, NAIA program, out of the South Sun Conference. And over there, they are 11-6, 3-2. Overall record is pretty good there. Obviously, just above 500 in the conference play. Really good conference over there. So keep your eyes on them. They're notorious about having a really solid program. Not doing so much on the women's side, but men's side are right there. We'll see what that means. Clark Atlanta Panthers. We know they play some basketball. They are just outside of the top 5, though. They're sitting at 9-3, 6-2. They are leading their division play over there in the SIAC. But with that being said, they're outside of it. We're going to dip back over in the HBCU AC. The hot team over there getting it done. In division play is Philander Smith Panthers. They are 8-2 overall and 2-1 leading conference play, the division, but really playing some good basketball overall. We're going to go out there and still receiving votes is out of the CIAA, which is the Shaw Bears that are at 10-2, 1-3. And finally, also out of the CIAA is the Virginia State Trojans that are sitting at 8-7, 1-2. Overall record above 500, just 1-2. A lot of teams are struggling in the CIAA. They play some tough competition. It'll be interesting to see as they get in conference, do we get some changes of the bonds, but we'll see what that means. With that being said, Dave, let's get into the top 5, what everybody wants to see. Xavier Golden Rush, they are notorious about being in the top 5. They find themselves in here as well. They did drop after losing a game, but they are 8-3, 5-1. Sitting in second place in the Red River Athletic Conference, 35 points, playing some really good basketball. Interesting to see, can they get and maintain and see if they can seek a regular season championship. Obviously, we want to know what they're going to do in the tournament. They should be in position to get, if not the automatic bid to the NAIA, certainly a large bid, but we'll see. There's a lot of basketball to be played. At number 4, you have the Miles Golden Bears. Anybody has paid attention to HBCUs at the Division II level, particularly at the major division, mid-major division level, as I like to say, you know about the Golden Bears. They have really held it down in the SIAC, perennial winners over there. Well, they added again. They're sitting at 9-2, 7-2. They do have one first place vote, 49 points. They move up a spot this week, this first week at number 5. But guess what? They are not leading their division. That is to their rivals in state with the Skiggy Golden Tigers that are playing good basketball. They made some coaching change a couple of years ago, and they have squarely pushed Miles. And now, at least early on in the season, they sit at 9-3, 8-1, and they are at the top of the division. A really tough race. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. You talking about a rivalry game, bucket list for basketball that you want to get to, fans? Go to Miles or Tuskegee game, particularly if you can get to any of those campuses. Sometimes the game is so big as they start to end it, they'll move it to a larger facility. Little different atmosphere, but certainly one that you want to keep your eyes on. Just before I move on, I talked about Clark Atlanta. You probably have seen that. Morehouse and Clark Atlanta is another one. There's one that's under the radar, Dave, which is Xavier and Dillon. It used to be a hot ticket. It's not so much anymore as they are in different conferences. Still a really good one in New Orleans. Boy, that's fascinating. I always wondered what it would look like if you had Miles Tuskegee, Clark Atlanta, Morehouse, Xavier and Dillard in the same conference. NIA or Division II, I'd be fascinating when you talk about that Birmingham, New Orleans, Atlanta, particularly Atlanta, New Orleans. You know this a little bit from a football perspective, how that rival could go, particularly when you sneak in some Charlotte. We even bring Johnson C. Smith for some conference matchups there, interconference matchups. It would be fascinating. But let's get back to the poll because people want to know who are the top two. At number 2, we do have the Virginia Union Panthers, 11-1. They're back at it, 2-0. New coach in the hall. Well, not a new coach. That's on the women's side, excuse me. But they're 11-1, 2-0, 3 first place votes, 64 points, and are at number 2 having a great early season. We'll see what that means as they continue to get deeper in the conference race. You know how that is. Then you have Langston Lions. They're back in position to make a national championship run. We seen them do it 2 years ago when they were so close that for cutting down the national nets, it was not to be. Fell off just a little bit, which is fascinating because they went like in the 3rd round of the playoffs, Dave, last year. But it looks like they're going to be in the business to make a deep run. I'll certainly have my eyes on there and make sure you all, the fans, are updated on what that looks like. They sit at number 1, 5 first place votes, 78 points. Langston Roar at number 1 in week number 1. David, give you a chance. I broke it down in terms of the poll rankings. I know you don't necessarily live day to day with this, but provided you quite a bit of thoughts, you obviously do have a pulse on it. What are your thoughts in terms of poll ranking in week number 1 for the mid-major division with the men?
One thing I'll say, man, typically I'm used to seeing more CIAA teams up here. So just only seeing one is the shocker for me with Virginia Union. But so far, they have been the standard in that conference. Langston being number 1 is never going to be shocking to me because they have a phenomenal coach down there. Hopefully, they can make another national title run. Tuskegee and Miles being back-to-back. I mean, they've been deep in conference play so far. So it's going to be fascinating to see how that keeps rolling between those two individuals. And I gotta go watch some Xavier, man. I gotta watch some Xavier. I gotta see what they about. I gotta watch a little bit of Xavier. I gotta get my teeth into that.
I like that. That's why we do it, because it does give you indication. You know, people love winners. They love the HBCUs. They understand the historic richness academically of and brand value of a lot of these HBCUs. Oftentimes, you have family members or friends that are tangentially that you know they're alumni with it. So when you hear one doing well, like you said, it's always interesting to say, let me take a little deeper look, particularly now that you have so many more of these games online, at least. It's not hard to get your eyes on it. So I like the fact that you shared that. I will say this. Would you be surprised if Langston makes a long run in the tournament this year on the men's side, based on early indications that they have really reloaded what they did, and they play a really tough schedule.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that surprised. I'm more surprised that none of our Division I HBCUs have called that man to go bring him up and bring him up. Now, I'm more surprised about that, to be honest with you, because he can coach. He can coach, man, and his ability to keep a good roster is outstanding, to say the least.
I think if he can cut down that net, it makes it even harder for folks to ignore him. Obviously, that NIA Division I jump is something that people are kind of concerned with. Yeah. And actually, oddly enough, we hadn't had a lot of changes at the Division I level in terms of men's lately. We did have a carousel in the SWAC, but they were ready-made coaches that people saw, and you had unique situations where you had previous relationships, AD to coach, which kind of started that with Gramblin's previous coach going to Alabama A&M.
Yep.
And then you had FAMU's coach go to Grambling, and then you had the natural fit with FAMU going with Charlie Ward, someone that was, close to campus and had a lot of sway within that area. So it's kind of unique. Maybe when things truly open up a little bit, maybe that what it looks like. I can see Alcorn. I don't know if he had, if there's a particular interest of a type of institution or HBCU that he would go to at the Division I level, or is he open, which would be a great chance to ask him maybe closer right after the end of the season, his thoughts on that. Obviously, coaches are manic about being in the moment, so it'd be challenged to talk about that now. Probably not fair to him. But let's take our second break. Come back on the other side. When we come back in, we'll give you another live look in. But I will tell you now that Texas Southern Tigers continues to lead the Mississippi Valley State Delta Devils 29-21 is the score now, with 4:18 left in the second quarter. We'll be right back after this second break. This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavil of Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavil's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Looking for the ultimate cultural experience of 2026? The Zora Outdoor Festival of the Arts is where you need to be. From January 30th to February 1st, Eatonville, Florida will come alive with incredible live performances. Immerse yourself in interactive art. Shop from over 80 vendors. Take a journey through history with a new virtual tour app. And enjoy family-friendly STEM activities. Plus, don't miss the unforgettable R&B tribute to the legends. This is more than a festival. It's a celebration of Eatonville's rich cultural heritage. Visit zorafestival.org for tickets.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
When it comes to professional learning, teachers deserve better. From the leader in online learning, Stride brings you the Stride Professional Development Center, an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that gives teachers choice and flexibility, allowing them to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. It's time you take charge of your learning. Visit us today to get started.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to law, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Cavil inside the HBCU Sports Lab As we come back in, you see we give you another live look in they're moving up and down the court. Valley just scores with 3:22 left in the second quarter, but Texas Southern remains the lead as they are up 31-23, I should say, over Mississippi Valley. While we're on it, do you have the score? I know you said you're watching the A&T Elon game. Give us a score on who's playing there before we get back into discussion. Give you this major division.
Yeah, I'm watching Elon A&T live at Club Corbett right now. Elon's up 27-19. A&T started 0 for 10 on the 3-point line, man. So I'm frustrated.
Oh,
I'm frustrated.
Yeah, you should be frustrated. They know you.
And it was worse, but they're closing the lead. They're closing the gap, but still.
For those that don't realize it, it looks like the MEAC has went to a Thursday, Monday showcase, as I like to call it in the SWAC, showcase for the women on Thursday, showcase for the men on Monday, with the doubleheader still remaining on Saturday. With that being said, we have women's scores for you out of the MEAC day. Morgan State at home is leading North Carolina Central 55-52. That's with 3:50 left in the fourth quarter. You have the Howard up relatively big over Delaware State, 60-48. In that, the third quarter has just ended, and Howard is at home. You have Norfolk State at home, hosting, obviously, Maryland Eastern Shore. Close game here, 54-52. This is the one we said we wanted to watch to see if the Hawks were for real. It looks like they are at this point, regardless of what happens at the end. 6:40 left in the fourth quarter. We'll keep your eyes on that one because it certainly looks like it's something to talk about. Coppin State is hosting South Carolina State, but they're losing early in that contest, 19-16, 8 minutes left in the second quarter. Also, let's go around the SWAC and give you some of those scores. We have Grambling in a tight one with FAMU. It's 28-27, Grambling leading. The Tigers leading the Rattlers at halftime. FAMU is at home for that matchup. You have a Southern Bethune-Cookman game. Southern continues to do what they were early indications they would do. They are up 21-12 in that matchup. 5:41 left in the second quarter. They are really holding Bethune-Cookman. That furious defense they do with the turnovers can give teams fits. Prairie View looks like they're trying to bounce back a little bit. They are winning early, though, 28-25, right before halftime with 1:09 left to be exact, leading the Pine Bluff Golden Lions. Told you here it's 31-23. That's Texas Southern from Mississippi Valley in terms of this contest with 2:09 left in that contest in the second quarter before halftime. Alabama State is over Alcorn State at home, hosting the Braves, 15-12 with 3:55 left in the second quarter. And Alabama A&M is out big over Jackson State, 24-10, 4:49 in the second quarter. Jackson State seems to be struggling on the women's side early. Alabama A&M dropped one. Looks like they are straightening things as they come back home.
They're up and awake now.
Let's take this off as we get into the poll rankings. Let's give you the major division poll rankings for the men. We had a lot of changes a little bit here. Multiple teams moved around a little bit in terms of what this looks like. You have the Spartans dropping out. You have Howard Bison dropping out as they lost their first contest in conference. We'll be able to see on Saturday what that really means. Do they bounce back? They play 2 this weekend, so when we come back, we'll have a little more sample size. And the Southern Jaguars were stunned by Prairie View at home, so they come out 1-1. So they're out of that top 5. But with that being said, let's see those receiving votes.
I wonder if I got the right slides.
Mixing in there a little bit there in terms of what that looks like. We have, this is old stuff from last year, but the actual data is Arkansas Pine Bluff Lions are just outside of the top 5, starting off really good. I did that. That's my stuff. So you can just go to the next slide.
Okay. All right. Because I was going to double check and make sure I grabbed the right stuff.
You did.
Okay.
Arkansas Pine Bluff Golden Lions are 2-0, 42 points. North Carolina Central Eagles are 1-0, 38. Maryland at Eastern Shore Eagles are 1-0, 29 points. Prairie View A&M Panthers are 1-1, 26. Southern Jaguars are 1-1. We can go ahead and take this down. It looks like the updates weren't created here. I have to talk to my assistants a little bit. Some of those graduate students move too fast, but I'll at least verbally give you. So check it out. Give me your thoughts. At number 5, Alabama A&M, 1-1, 61 points. They moved from the 2 slot and slide down to 5 after splitting 1-1, but they have played so well in terms of their non-conference schedule. I think it's still holding them up, including a win over Tennessee State that is a top 5 program at this time. And number 4, you have your independent in here. Hampton Pirates sit at 2-1, 74 points. They were not ranked, but they are playing some good basketball in the, since you're on here, I'll say CAA. I'll use the correct term, Coastal Athletic Association, not the Colonial. I'll be right. Number 3, Bethune-Cookman Wildcats are 1-0. 2 first place votes, 85 points. They were ranked 5. They moved up. Big win at home. A little closer than people thought, but that may be an indication that the Rattlers may surprise them. We'll see. Guess what? This is the first time in a while that we've had 2 independents in the poll rankings, men or women. They usually have one of the teams is doing well, but this year we have another one. We have Tennessee State that's off to a really good start in OVC, 3-1, 3 first place, new first-year coach. Was really getting it done, 102-3. They move up a spot. They have that tough road loss that I got to see in person, where I thought Tennessee State would have some good, really gave me an indication of what Alabama A&M caused some problems. And then they had that win over UNLV that let me know that, yeah, these are just 2 good basketball teams. And I was glad I was able to see that matchup. Number 1, Grambling State Tigers, 2-0. They've swept their non-conference play in terms of HBCUs. That's including teams out of the MEAC, independent programs. They've really got it done. Fasten and say what that looks like. 6 first place folks play what many people think are always tough games. Prairie View, Texas Southern. Probably thought it would be a little tougher maybe against Texas Southern. They might be on hard times, but it looks like the Prairie View team is up as they lost a close one on the road to Grambling, but got the victory over Southern. With that being said, top 5 again. Since we don't have a visual, I'll say it. Number 5, Alabama A&M Bulldogs. Number 4, Hampton Pirates. Number 3, Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Number 2, Tennessee State Tigers. Number 1, Grambling State Tigers. Dave, what are your thoughts on week number 1's top 5 for the major division?
I went back and forth with Liv about Howard on the men's side. She doesn't think Howard's that good, and I don't completely agree with her. I think Howard's a top 5 team. I'm not mad at number 1. I think Grambling is absolutely the best team in college basketball. I truly believe that. Howard had a pretty good. They went undefeated again in the CAA against the CAA this year.
Yeah.
I know they didn't, and they went up against some pretty good teams in that conference. I mean, they beat us. It was a close game against us, but they went up against some of the top teams in that conference and did a really good job and went 4-0 in that conference. So I would put them in the top 5. I know it was a tough loss against South Carolina State. They just had a bad day at the free throw line that day, and I'm going to attribute it to that. I think they're still going to be the top team when they walk out of the MEAC, from my perspective. But
yeah, I think so early in terms of the litmus test with one game. To your point, conference is way early and heavier when we get in this part of the season. So the loss off the bat throws them out. But again, they get a chance to make a statement rebound 2 games this week. And I think as they play on, you'll start to see them shape out to be one of the top teams in the conference, if not the top team, to your point. So I'm fascinated to see what that looks like. They played a really solid non-conference schedule in terms of some big majors, but really diverse. I really like the way they played different HBCUs, played them in different places in terms of classic. That's the type of conference schedule I would really like to see more HBCU programs play. Grambling again, I thought they did a really good job. They did play the Howard, then they played in the Chris Paul Classic. Both of those teams had the benefit of playing in that, so that kind of helped. But as you talk about Howard also scheduled a lot of other teams in terms of CAA, including the HBCU programs, dipping down and playing a game against Grambling outside of the Chris Ball.
Yep.
So I just wanted to give a personal shout out to that. But I think you make some excellent points, and it will be fascinating. I think you'll have some really good basketball. Another thing is I think basketball in the SWAC, in terms of the coaches, has increased, which is a good thing in terms of that. Caught up with the MEAC. It's going to be interesting to see where the MEAC is. Big win for North Carolina Central Moulton. Is he back in the traditional business? You think about the Eagles, or will they still kind of float back and forth? So I'm interested to see what that is.
It's the MEAC has been fascinating because there was that first weekend there was a plethora of upsets. Like South Carolina State beating Howard is considered an upset. The school down the road beating Norfolk was considered an upset. But even like when you saw recent interviews of Coach Jones talking about they were picked to be first, he was kind of shocked because he thought he had a young team and they had to learn how to play together. It's going to take some time to figure it out. So I'm kind of curious to see where Norfolk ends up falling in this. I think Maryland Eastern Shore might be real. It's going to be fascinating to see if they can. Yeah, they might be real, man.
Yes, sir. I think you have a great point. Let's take our last break. We'll come back on the other side. It is halftime here. Texas Southern Tigers, Lady Tigers, if you would, over the Lady Delta Devils at Mississippi Valley State. The score is 34-25, and we're at halftime. We'll come in and still give you a look in as we come back before we do it and give you some other scores. What score update do you have for us?
A&T has closed the gap. They're only down by 2 against Elon with 18 seconds to go in the first half.
Oh, yeah, let's go.
No, they're tied now. It's 30-30. It's 30-30 now.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's
go. Perfect way to go into this last segment. We'll be right back after the last break. We'll talk a little bit more. We'll get Dave's early indication of what he thinks in terms of HBC basketball. Probably a little more focus on the major division side of things. Get his thoughts where things are going, particularly after this first weekend. Kind of touched on it a little bit with some upsets, but we'll take a deeper dive and tell you who may be some surprise teams to keep you on, or just who he thinks early on who's a surprise team based on what they were able to do. We'll be right back after this last break.
For over 30 years, HBCU Image has been more than just an apparel store. We've been a movement, a statement, a legacy. We celebrate the pride, the purpose, and the culture that make historically black colleges and universities legendary. Whether you're a student or a lifelong supporter, our gear lets you wear your HBCU stories with confidence and style. Because when you wear HBCU Image, you're not just wearing clothes. You're wearing culture. You're wearing pride. You're wearing purpose. HBCU Image, a Kenny T's company.
From cancer care to accidental injuries to cardiac care, we all know that there are times that you can't control what happens in your life. But with Globe Life Family Heritage, you can be prepared to weather the storm when it comes. Call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com. With over 25 years of serving communities, Dr. Beverly Eagles Rogers is here to help you and your family through difficult times. Dr. Beverly takes pride in Globe Life being one of the few companies that returns 100% of premiums to clients that stay healthy. So for more information, call Dr. Beverly Eagle Rogers at 877-300-8269 or visit the website at globelifefamilyheritage.com.
Are you hungry for authentic Caribbean food like jerk chicken, oxtail, red snapper, shrimp, tofu, and rasta pasta? Well, find your way over to Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta.
Them belly full, but we hungry.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, open daily from 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. And on Friday and Saturday, we're open till 4 a.m. Come to Mango's and put some spice in your life.
So we've got a good thing going.
Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, 180 Auburn Avenue, right next to Royal Peacock in downtown Atlanta. For more info or directions, call 404-698-3992 or log on to mangoscaribbeanrestaurant.com. For instant coupons, text MANGOS to 313131. Mango's Caribbean Restaurant, authentic Caribbean cuisine.
the 37th Annual Zora Festival. It's in Eatonville, Florida, Saturday, January 31st and February the 1st. On Saturday, the all-white party tribute to Frankie Beverly with bass guitarist Jubu. Bread, Sunset, and Taisha Williams. And on Sunday, the Line Dance Party Live with Jeter Jones, Mike Clark Jr., and Boss Lady Coco. Tickets available at zorafestival.org.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
It's Dr. Cavil. You see the live look in, it's halftime, and you see none other than Professor Bishop. That is Dr. Charles Bishop.
VIP action too. Look at
Yeah,
that.
man, big time. Now I get to bring him in and say, all right, Charles, give us some analysis of the first half since you called it right there. We have Dave doing his thing. This is Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Every other Thursday, you'll see us do something a little different. We touched on it last year. We do the show up here. Now Charles has transitioned, and he's doing some broadcast activities. Certainly want to support that. We'll give a show as much as we can on those Thursdays when we're here on the home game. I'll do it from the arena. But with that being said, without further ado, Charles, give us analysis of what you saw take place in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it's gone kind of back and forth here in the first half. Texas Southern on top, 34-25. But when you take a look at it, it's been kind of Texas Southern's bench that's really done a good job here in this game, especially my Macy Quiller. Came off the bench, 6 points and 6 rebounds for Texas Southern. But I always say with Texas Southern, as Deja Holmes goes, so goes this basketball team. And she's leading Texas Southern thus far here in the first half with 9 points in the contest. For Mississippi Valley, great first half for Sydney Marshall. But one thing that's kind of been a bugaboo for both teams with 11 turnovers here in the first half. So when they've been able to hold on to the ball, they've been able to get some good things going on offense. But holding on to the ball has been a bit of a challenge for both teams here in this first half.
Certainly. Let us know when you need to get back on it and start getting prepared. I know they're warming up. It's about 5:52 and counting of the half. What I would like to do is give some score updates, if you would, with Jackson State, Alabama, A&M at half. The Bulldogs are leading 36-25. You also have at the half Alabama State and Alcorn State. The Braves are behind by 3. The Hornets are leading 20-17. Texas Southern, as we just said, is up 34-25 over the Delta Devils. You have Prairie View and Pine Bluff at the half. Pine Bluff is taking the lead and leads 29-28 at half. And you have Southern leading by 11 over Bethune-Cookman, 29-18. FAMU and Grambling are in a good tussle, 36-35. The Rattlers are leading with 5:24 in the third. Any thoughts on those scores, Charles? Just hit mute.
You're muted, Charles.
Muted.
What did you do?
We kind of talked about with Alabama A&M and Jackson State, how important it is for Jackson State to at least get a split. You don't want to go back to Jackson 04 in conference play because that's a big hole to kind of dig out.
I agree with you. That's one we kind of looked on there. Last thing here before we'll let you jump out of here is just so you'll know, we have MEAC updates. We have a final. Morgan State defeated North Carolina Central 64-63. You have South Carolina State at halftime over Coppin State 28-25. You have Maryland Eastern Shore over Norfolk State. That's the game we said we want to keep our eyes on, right? 62-60 with 19 seconds left. Of course, it's a good one. Oh boy, I'm gonna have to turn this one on, guys. Oh, that's right. I got a show to do. I still turn
listen. That's why you have to have multiple screens, my friend. I'm catching into this one.
That's really Howard is up 71-56 with 2:58 in the fourth. Charles, we'll let you go. We know you have to get back to it as we close out things. Appreciate the live look in again. Look forward to more of this every 2 weeks. We'll continue to try to give you a little more action and take you inside it as we like to do. Thank you for your time there, Charles, of giving us an update of what took place the first half. Carry on, my friend. Carry on.
Appreciate it,
Thank
Charles. See you, man.
Dave. That's pretty cool when you get those kind of live look-ins there. Dave, again, this is Inside the Sports Lab. We do it different. You've taken up the mantle and done it and bring it to the people for the independents. And so I really appreciate you doing this. So any Thursdays that you can, you're welcome. You see what we do might be a little different. You get used to this, double duties. I know don't want to work you too hard. Paycheck is not there yet, so I get it. But
my esports tournaments are starting back up, man. I'm heading to your parts. I'm going to Houston in March.
When you get here, let me know. I owe you dinner. I'll take you out.
Absolutely.
Make that work. With that being said, any thoughts, obviously, on the scores that I just gave you before we get into some of these matchups and your thoughts of what to keep your eyes on this week?
So that Morgan State win over the school down the road, I'm always happy when the school down the road loses.
That's right.
However, Morgan State has had it rough. Like me and Mr. Banks and I, who's a Morgan State girl, and Erica, we did MD last night, and Erica said a statistic that was very, very haunting. She said that Morgan State has lost to every single school in the state of Maryland, including Division III schools. They played John Hopkins and they got ran off the court. The women did. They played John Hopkins, got ran off the court. But this is their first Division I race. I'm happy for them, and it couldn't happen to a better team to beat. So that was but I do want to see what ends up happening at the end of this UMass Norfolk game, because with Norfolk State losing their coach to Auburn, you wanted to know whether or not they were going to be able to still keep that stride and still do something in the MEAC. And I think Dr. Cavil might be frozen.
Good
Oh, no,
stuff,
he's not
good
frozen.
stuff. Oh, boy, it's interesting. Deanna Barnes with the big rebound after Miss Clark misses a 6-foot jumper. Down 62 with 5 seconds left in that contest. Boy. Wee-wee. Changing of the guard early, at least in the MEAC. We shall see. Fascinating there. What are your thoughts on some of these games coming up this weekend? Anything early before I give the actual matchup? Anything that is on your mind, and then I'll break it down and tell you specifically what are the games.
I'm gonna be honest, Doc. I don't know who's playing this weekend. I want to see, but the big things I want to pay attention to, particularly with the MEAC, with all the upsets that happened the first weekend, on how these schools, how like Howard bounces back, how Norfolk bounces back, if UMass is for real or not. Like I'm kind of fascinated with that regard on whether or not these schools are going to be able to handle it. Like Delaware State's been known to be pretty decent as of late. They've been struggling a little bit, so I'm curious to see how they do. So that's going to be on my mind on the men's side at a minimum.
That makes sense. Let me give you just that then. That's what I'm here for. We have a OVC matchup, Tennessee State at Western Illinois. Western Illinois is struggling early, 0-4. So Tennessee State wants to make sure they take care of business as they have that game. And then on Saturday, they are at Eastern Illinois. That is also struggling at 1-3 in the conference. So it's a chance to be on the road and get right. We'll see what that means in terms of what that looks like. Let me give you those coastal games. We just gave you update halftime. You have Elon up 33-30 over A&T, but it's a good one. Yeah. You have Hampton on the road losing to Campbell 43-30. Tough one there in terms of how they started out the gate, if you would. In terms of what that looks like. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like in terms of move forward. On Saturday, you have Hampton at Charleston in terms of those matchups. In terms of as they get ready to start this third quarter, we will give you a score update as we close out things. But in the MEAC, let me give you those upcoming games. You have Norfolk State at Delaware State on Saturday, South Carolina State at Morgan State, Howard at Maryland Eastern Shores, North Carolina Central at Coppin State. And then on Monday, you have North Carolina Central at Morgan State, Delaware State at Howard, Maryland Eastern Shore at Norfolk State, South Carolina State at Coppin State. And finally, we'll give you some SWAC matchups that are in action this Saturday on the men. Saturday, you have Jackson State, Alabama State. Should be an interesting one. Alcorn State at Alabama A&M. You have Arkansas Pine Bluff at Texas Southern, Grambling at Bethune, and then Mississippi Valley at Prairie View, Southern at FAMU. That's your Monday game. Saturday, you have Jackson State, Alabama State, Alcorn at Alabama A&M. Excuse me, on Monday, I should say, you have Alcorn State at Alabama A&M. This is the one that's interesting for a lot of reasons. Grambling at FAMU on Monday. Coach coming back home. You have Pine Bluff at Prairie View. After Pine Bluff jumped out 2-0, Prairie View 1-1, I think that's going to be an interesting matchup to see maybe which one of those teams are more for real. Southern at Bethune-Cookman, Mississippi Valley at Texas Southern, Jackson State at Alabama A&M. Your thoughts?
There's two games. There's 3 games. 2 of them involve Grambling. Grambling playing Bethune, that's going to be a barn burner. That's going to be a phenomenal game to watch. Grambling, Coach Crary coming back to FAMU. I'm praying for FAMU, guys. I'm praying for him.
You think it's going to get ugly?
I think it might get ugly, man.
I think he's going to coach hard, but I think it's pretty good. I would be surprised if they don't get the win.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a little closer than most people.
I hope so. But the game on the MEAC side that's fascinating me is Howard and Maryland Eastern Shore.
Yeah, I like
that. Because the thing is, you got Howard. They had a tough loss to open up the conference. Then you got Maryland Eastern Shore that, they're looking like they might be for real. This is a for real game for them. So if Howard starts conference play 0-2, it's going to get fascinating to say the least. So that's the one I'm eyeing. With regards to that, school down the road in Coppin is interesting too, but because somebody's going to end up 2-0. I wasn't high on neither one of those teams coming into the season, but one of them's going to end up 2-0 when it's all said and done.
Let me give you a final here that Maryland Eastern Shore, Norfolk State has won final 63-60.
Yep.
Eastern Shore with the big upset in a lot of ways. They are for real, that's for sure. And so we also have a final, as I told you, Morgan State over North Carolina Central 64-63. Halftime, you still have South Carolina State at Coppin State 28-25. Howard is up by 10 with 21 seconds left in the fourth, so they should have this game. That's Howard over Delaware State. And some updates as things get back into action. You still have Jackson State and Alabama A&M at halftime. As we told you, that was 36-25. 9 minutes left in the third quarter. Alabama State is up over the Braves 20-17. Texas Southern is pulling away from Mississippi Valley. That is 40-27 with 6:58 left in the third quarter. Prairie View is up in a close one still at versus Pine Bluff. They're at home, 35-33 with 4:33 left. You have Southern over Bethune-Cookman stretching out that lead or maintaining at 11, I guess, really. 9:51 left in the third quarter. And you have FAMU getting it done early. It's still 4 points, though. 43-39. Grambling State with 1:56 left in the third quarter. That will do it for us. Let's take one last live look in as we give you our final updates. Any final thoughts there, if you would, Dave?
Good set of games coming up. I'm going to ask this question. I'll let you guys stew on it for the rest of the week. Who is going to stop Howard women's basketball? Who's going to stop them?
I like it. Good question. We might say that in the SWAC, too. Who's going to stop Southern basketball?
You ain't kidding.
But that would be a nice matchup between the two. Thank you for listening inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Yana Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Ville's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Watson and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday at 6 o'clock. We look forward to next week as we discuss the latest news in the lab. You'll have Associate AD Stephon Robinson, who made sure that we could set things up. I want to give him holler. He takes care of you, boy. That's Dr. Kenyatta Cavil on Threads, Facebook, Instagram. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab Ward on Facebook. Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on YouTube. Dream big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. Stephon, you got to say course. Say course. Dave.
Lecture.
Dismiss. Good job, Stephon. Pass the class.